T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Trap Talk Reptile Network, the coolest reptile network in the world, all in the tree Tuesdays, episode 519. That's right, 519 episode with Chondro, Boz from Australia. That's right, we're going down under. Hope you guys are ready. But what's good, man? I'm your boy MJ. Hope everyone's having a great start to their week. If this is your first time hanging out, if you're into keeping reptiles, chondros, ball pythons, monitors, any cold-blooded animal, this is the podcast to be subscribed to. So don't sleep on this podcast. I'm telling you right now. So also you can listen to Trap Talk Reptile Network, all the major audio platforms. There's Buzzsprout, there's Spotify, there's Apple. So if you're more of the audio type, there's all those episodes for you on the audio platforms as well. Wherever you listen to Trap Talk Reptile Network, thank you so much. Drop a comment in the comment section. Give me some feedback. I really admire all the feedback, all the comments you guys give me. So please, don't be shy. Drop a comment. Shout out to the early birds. And of course, if you're looking for exclusive content, if you want to support what I have going on, if you want to, do more than just watch episodes, then do me a favor. Click the first link in the description below and come join the Trap Talk Patreon family. As soon as you join the Patreon family, you get connected to a Discord, over 200 amazing keepers in the Discord, and there's an awesome Instagram group chat. Just come meet all of us. It's a good way to really dig your feet into the reptile world by joining the Trap Talk Patreon family. So all my Patreon members, I love you guys. You guys are my heart, man. And early birds, like I said, I'm so happy to see all the hitters in the early bird section right now. If you're in the chats tonight, if you think tonight's episode's worthy of any super chat, if you have a topic, if you have a question, whatever, don't be shy with the super chat. I will put it on the big screen, and I will not sleep on any super chats. So thank you for all the love and support, man. Let's have a good time. What's up with Nick? All right, in the early bird section from the Reptile Pueblo, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. And of course, one of Canada's finest, Jaffe from Jaffe Exotics. What a homie. Love this dude for sure. Thanks for tapping in, Jaffe. Big Mike, 1776 Exotics out of South Florida. OG Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Bradley P in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Musical Pythons in the building. On his way to getting into the Chondro game. Well, he's already dabbled, and he's about to really dive into it. So you're definitely in the right spot tonight, my man. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Appreciate your support. The homie MORPH Kings, Cody in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Big homie Eric from PG Creations. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Travis from TNS Reptiles. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Got my homies from Australia tapping in. The homie Dan from Red Earth Reptiles. The homie Simon over there down in Australia as well. The homie Tony from Revision Reptiles. Southern California. That's my dog. Thanks for being here, Tony. The Misty Rainforest. So many amazing people, man. I just want to say thank you for everyone who's tapped in, and make sure you get those likes up first and foremost. All right. I also got to say, very, very blessed to have tonight's sponsor be a part of tonight's episode. And that is, of course, Gary Shavino from GS Reptiles, my favorite reptile keeper when it comes to learning about arboreals and all this really amazing stuff that he helps you with on his YouTube channel. So go subscribe to this man's YouTube channel right now. GS Reptiles on YouTube, Instagram, type in GS Reptiles as well. Check out all his amazing work. You never know when he's going to drop some amazing heat. And I got to tell you, I was privileged and lucky enough to pick up a couple animals from Gary Shavino, and I want more this year for sure. Maybe not this year, but next year. Either way, just come correct. Don't be a tire kicker. You know what we do with those people. I'm just kidding. Hey, appreciate you, Gary. Thank you so much. Gary Shavino again. All right. Also, tonight's episode is brought to you by Brian Susan of SUNDOWN Reptiles, #1 in the tree monitor game, high-end geckos, all right, abronia, gargoyles, you name it, man. This is your guy right here. Brian Susan, appreciate everything that this guy has done for the hobby, and definitely one of the best doing it for sure. Check out the vlog on the Trap Reptile Vlogs YouTube channel if you want to double check my work on who Brian Susan is. And again, Brian Susan, SUNDOWN Reptiles, definitely go through that guy if it comes to wanting to get into the tree monitor. I take that back. There's a lot of amazing tree monitor breeders, up-and-coming breeders in the game, but if you don't want to be like, if you want the least headache with anything, Brian Susan's your guy. I'm telling you, he's a vet. He's saying right now. Appreciate you, Brian. I really do. I want to say also tonight's episode is brought to you by Mark Hager from Texas Chondros. Type in TX Chondros on Instagram. Go look at all the amazing content that this man's been putting out for years now. All right. And then also check out what he has available. If he does have anything available, need to chat with Mark and see what's cracking with this guy. But last time I checked, he had a few. But for you, if you're interested, go to texaschondros.com. All right. Or just hit him up personally on Instagram. He's one of the nicest guys for sure in the chondro game or just in general. All right. Mark Hager, Texas Chondros, flexing Texas all day, every day. Last but not least, shout out to the #1 perch company in the perch game. Reptile perch game. The Reptile perch. David Brahms. All right. This guy's also killing it heavily in the chondro game. So follow him on Instagram, the Reptile Perch, and also go to reptileperch.com. Place your order for your PVC design perch by David Brahms. So many different designs to fit whatever tub style, you name it. Like, just go check it out. He's the best. And speaking of the best, here they are. Marshall Mendez, tired as fuck. Oh, I made it to sound check. I'm exhausted.
You got me up early today.
What's up, fellas? How are we doing today?
Hey. All good.
Good to go.
Hey, happy birthday to Leo today.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, yeah, man. That's awesome.
One's a big one. That's a special day.
Did you get birthday cake? You just pig out on it?
Yeah, we tried doing that. We tried doing a little birthday thing earlier, and he's not into sweets. Like, dude, this kid loves to eat, but like, you put anything sweet in his mouth, and he just declines it. Which for me, that's kind of odd. Like, that's. Are you sure that's my boy? But listen, it is what it is. He had a good time today, and yeah, man. I everyone says this when you have a kid. Like, enjoy the moments. It flies by. There you guys are fucking kidding. That shit. Like, a year does not seem like it's been a year at all. I could have sworn it's been like maybe a few months. But if you guys all have grown kids, I mean, Marshall, you're at that point where you're about to have some grown ass kids. Bill's already there, but you're about to be at that point where you're gonna have maybe an empty nest at some point. Is your boy going to college, or what's the plan for him when he graduates?
Yeah, he's got one more year of high school left, but yeah, he'll go to college the next year.
All right.
One step closer to being an empty nester, brother.
Yeah, my daughter's she's just a freshman this year, so it'll be a while. I'm not quite there yet.
You're gonna love my world, trust me.
Hey, listen, I'm excited because it's not every day or every Tuesday we bring an Australian chondro breeder on the show. I mean, we've had Daniel Nutush on, but he's not really a breeder anymore. So he does other things. But what do you guys know about the homie Dan Boswell from Australia, aka Chondro Bows? Any of you tapped into his work yet? I know we talked a little bit, Bill, but you've been sleeping on this guy respectfully, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait. I can't wait to hear what he says about breeding chondros. But I'm just as interested to hear what it's like to keep chondros in Australia. So
yeah. And I know you've had interest, Marshall, bringing Australian keepers on, but have you followed this guy's page at all, Chondro Buzz, on Instagram?
I followed him yesterday or the day before, so I was checking out his IG earlier today. He's got it's interesting to see what maybe he can tell us a little bit about what we're looking at there. Looks like he's got some locality stuff. Looks like Kofi owls I saw maybe. So.
We're going to get a lot of answers tonight. Don't worry about it. And if you guys are down, let's go ahead and get this started. You want to bring Dan in and get this All in the Tree Tuesday cracking or what?
Let's do it.
All right, guys. Listen, if you're the chats, get the lights up. Let's go because it's that time. Do what you got to do to get your mind right. Do what you got to do to stay hydrated for episode 519. Chondro Boz out of Australia coming at you right now. Cheers.
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crowd, God love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody.
And we're live, episode 519. Good day, mate. How you doing, my man?
G'day, guys. Nice to meet you all.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning.
Dan.
And also, sorry, just also quickly, happy birthday to your little dude, man.
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it. How are you doing, though, man? Appreciate you being here all the way from Australia. And it's about, what, 10 a.m. your time right now? Or what time is it your time?
Yeah, 10:30 a.m.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm excited. I've got a female at the moment that's day 19 post prelay, so
Nice.
I'm getting stoked on that. So hopefully that everything goes well there.
Good luck.
Good luck, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What
go ahead, Mark.
what part of Australia are you in?
I'm in South Australia, and I live. It's about 30 minutes outside of the main city of Adelaide, in the Adelaide Hills.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's like what, south, kind of in the middle, or to the east. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and I feel like I've been following your page for a while now, but why don't we set the record straight as far as how long you've been posting your work that you've been doing down in Australia on IG? Because I feel like your name's been around for at least a few years. So can we kind of get to how long you've been doing this for now, Dan?
Yeah, look, it was about 2018. I acquired my first couple of animals, and they were sub-adult Australian locality.
Mm-hmm.
And leading up to that, I'd been keeping Darwin carpers, jungles, black-headed pythons, and womas. But you know, that whole time, you know, green trees, they were the species I really wanted to keep, but they were just a little bit out of my grasp in terms of being able to afford them. So, needless to say, when I bought those first two animals, I sold everything off and essentially started building my chondro collection to where it is today.
Damn. Player move. But, you know, we're all curious as far as like the whole process of purchasing chondros. You know, I'm not too sure as far as like the permits that come into play. And then also, are there designer stuff down there? Is there no designer stuff?
Yeah.
Like, let's get to all that, man. And really what your foundation's based off of too.
Yeah, I guess in terms of when we talk about how you go about keeping them, each state varies a little bit, so I can more or less speak to how it works in my state.
Right.
But
okay. That makes sense.
To get into keeping green trees, you need to have a basic reptile permit license, and you need to have kept a basic species from their basic list of species list for at least 12 months. And then once you've done that, you can then apply for what's called a specialist permit. So you download that form, and they ask you everything in terms of just your general knowledge, husbandry, feeding, how you're going to keep the animals from neo as they're growing up through yearlings to adult, and they even like you to supply photos of your caging, etc.
Damn.
But also with that specialist permit, lodging that, you need to reach out to 2 green tree python breeders and essentially build a relationship with those keepers. And when they feel, I guess, you're competent and you're able to care and keep for a green tree python, they'll supply you with an endorsement letter. So you need to have 2 endorsement letters that aren't related to a sale. So once you've got that together, you submit it. It generally takes about a month, and they will look over your application like in great detail. And if they're not quite comfortable with how that application is submitted, they'll ring up the people that you've been supplied the endorsement letters from, and they'll share their concerns, and yeah, they're not afraid to knock these back. So I guess in a way it kind of like it weeds out any keepers that may not be 100% committed to doing the right thing there.
And I'm assuming, Dan, they could come visit you if they wanted to before they issue the permit. They could want to see.
You can get visits at home. I haven't experienced that yet. My dad, he experienced that when he's just got back into keeping green trees in the last couple of years. But in the earlier 2000s, he bought some hatchlings and raised those couple up, and he bred a nice clutch of 20, 100% hatch rate. And he had his house visited and photos and documented, but they're really tight on your record keeping. So you've got an online record book. So you bring an animal in, you need to record the date of purchase, who you bought it from, where they live. If you have an animal die, you need to record that. When you breed your animals each year, you need to record how many you've bred.
Dude, wow.
So yeah, it's
Is
pretty
there any
cool.
keeping of wild or everything captive bred?
Everything's captive bred now. Perhaps in the early days, there may have been some allowed to be collected from the wild, but yeah, nowadays it's all captive bred.
Damn. So your dad is a chondro keeper from years back, and now he does it again.
Yeah, like when he got into it, yeah, he hatched out he just had the one group of it was two hatchlings that he'd raised, and I believe it was the male at the time. They were reaching maturity, and I believe the male was stolen. Someone entered his property through the roof, and stole that male. And I mean, back then these were worth like a lot of money.
Wow.
I've heard multiple stories of them being stolen. So yeah, I'd like to hear
about this. Yeah, we were talking about this before we went on.
Yeah. So my dad he replaced that animal, and he ended up going on to pairing those animals, and he had that clutch of 20, and he held them back till they're around a year old. I think he moved on maybe a couple of animals, but he was at work one day, and his wife and his kid and one of his kids' friends were at home, and there was a knock on the door, and they didn't have anything to see. They didn't have a security door or like a glass panel to see at the front of the door, and his wife opened the door. And it was a guy had a handgun that he popped in the door. He made his way in, tied his wife and kid up, and essentially went through, tipped all of those animals into a bag, and they were never seen from there.
Holy shit. How long
Same,
was it?
yeah, we were just talking about this. I've heard this story before. I didn't realize you were connected to something.
Yeah, that's my dad. I'm gonna say that's like 04, around 04. And my dad had a friend visiting the States at the time, because Dad was he communicated a lot with Greg Maxwell, and in fact, like Greg Maxwell was almost, I guess, somewhat of a mentor to him. He really replicated everything Greg was doing.
Right.
And his friend was visiting the States, and he saw what had happened, and he rang down. He's like, "Darren, I'm sorry what's happened. Like, I've got someone here to talk to you." And he passes the phone over. He's like, "Darren, it's Greg Maxwell." It was obviously shocked with what had happened there.
They never found the animals, never found the person.
No, he's been like told a pretty good idea of who orchestrated it. I guess the guy that actually did the robbery, you could tell. I don't think he really handled snakes or had anything to do with snakes, because he wasn't really keen to grab them and put them in the bag himself. He was sort of asking Dad's wife at the time to put them in there, and she more or less said, I don't touch the snake. So he just sort of was just tipping them into the bag. But yeah, unfortunately, nothing ended up coming from that. And it was genuinely at that time, that group of animals was 150,000 Australian dollars worth at the time. So that was a lot of money, and a lot of hard work went into him reaching that point and doing that. And that was his dream. That was like a pinnacle for him, keeping greens, breeding them. And yeah, needless to say, sort of after that moment, he got out of keeping reptiles altogether for a period of time.
Terrible.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's crazy that none of those animals popped up anywhere. Like, though they didn't like pop up in someone's collection where you could like be like, yo, where the fuck did you get this at? Nothing like that, huh?
No, he couldn't pinpoint anything. And like they were supposed to be, because back then you couldn't really say you had anything other than Australian locality green trees Otherwise, they were getting confiscated. But you know, when they were, you know, getting towards that year old, they were getting like quite heavy black flecks all through them. So you knew that they weren't pure Australian animals. But
Wow.
yeah, unfortunately, yeah, he nothing ever
Who
came
knows?
from that.
Those animals all could have perished. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yep,
Yeah.
100%. It'd be quite a stressful event for
God damn.
So what's the deal now with anything? Obviously, any red babies are obviously not native. Is there any red babies in the trade, in pet trade?
Yeah, there definitely is red babies over here. You just don't see them produced as heavily as what you guys do, like all these 100% red beautiful clutches. But yeah, there is definitely a number of red animals around, and probably just, you know, probably a smaller number, I guess, produced each year. They're hard to get a hold of. Everyone in the hobby really wants to get red babies, but you know, like a lot of keepers, when you produce a nice clutch, you wanna hold back quite a few of those animals for yourself, and there's generally not too many to go around.
So everything that you have going for you all stems from yellow neonates, right? So there's no red going on in your own collection.
I've got 4 animals that were red neonates.
Okay.
Yep. I got 2 females and 2 males. Yes, I got a small amount, and in fact, the female that's due to lay, she was paired with a young red male this year. I was going to look at giving her the year off, but like she bounced back so well. Her condition looked awesome,
Right.
and so I thought, look, I had a couple of young males that were sort of maturing, that, you know, between 2.5 and 3 now, and I thought, well, if anything happens there, I'll go for it, and if nothing happens, I'll give her the year off. And yeah, fortunately, yeah, this red boy was keen, and hopefully a nice clutch comes from it.
Yeah. So you've had clutches already, obviously, under your belt, and your first clutch was in 2022, or how soon did you get your first clutch?
2022 was my first successful year getting clutches. I had 4 females ovulate and lay that year for me.
Nice.
2 of the clutches didn't do too well, and they crashed, but managed to hatch out 2 clutches in that first successful year there, which one of them was pure Kofiau pairing, which was I was stoked.
It's phenomenal, yeah.
Dude, so this is a Kofiau right here that we're looking at?
That's a yellow neonate. It's a mustard, that one.
Okay.
That one there was produced by a guy called Mitchell Berg. That came from a mixed yellow and red clutch. And as I said before, he held back every one of those reds, but I managed to pick a couple yellows off him, and yeah, I got that nice clean mustard. And in fact, a lot of the siblings in that clutch went mustard, the yellows and reds.
Yeah. So how old is this snake? I'm sorry. What does this snake now look like currently? Like, how much of that yellow is still there?
Oh, exactly like that.
Oh,
yeah.
Damn. Now, okay. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I heard a lot of the shit about Kofiaus in the United States is a lot of people say they have them, but then they just turn green immediately. Is a true Kofiau supposed to stay yellow, or like, how do you know you got a true Kofiau here? And if you could show me maybe on your page where we could look at some.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I can do is I got one right next to me here.
Yeah. Fuck the internet. Yeah. That's perfect. Perfect.
This is
Oh yeah. I like
one of the 22s.
We can hear you. Go ahead and say whatever you need to say. We can.
Now look, so this pairing, the female laid 12 eggs in that clutch, and I'm going to say about 50% of those eggs were windowed. And during the incubation period of that clutch. Like I battled a bit of growth on those windowed areas, and I was talking to a Victorian keeper, Russell Grant, that's who I've acquired my Australian animals from. He was talking about how he was dealing with some growth on a clutch that he had with some of his sarong types, and what he was essentially doing was just once a week or whenever he needed to, was just wiping down those eggs with some dry paper towel. So that's essentially what I did with this clutch, with any eggs I was battling that with. But I found in the later stages of the incubation with these guys, it didn't become an issue. It just sort of held off and stopped. So yeah,
So
I had 12 eggs.
What were you wiping off of them? You say mold?
It was kind of like, yeah, like a mold growth over the windowed sections of the eggs there.
It's got like fuzzy, like white fuzzy stuff.
Yeah, or even a little bit like grayish. And yeah, it was just like once a week I just wiped those eggs down like real quickly and popped them back. And yeah, one of the eggs out of that clutch crashed during the incubation. It didn't smell, but I just let that egg ride just to see.
Right.
And day 48 came, and I've walked in and I've looked in the incubator, and there's a head pipped, and I'm like, shit, that's too early. And I'm like, shit. So I've got on the phone to my dad. I'm like, Dad, like one of them is pipped already. It's day 48. What's going on? He's like, I don't know. Maybe it's just ready. And I was on the phone with him for like maybe 15 minutes, right? And I went back to the incubator, and no joke, this hatchling had completely left the egg, and its head was submerged in water, dead. My heart, my stomach, my stomach sank, and like it was perfectly formed. It was so nice, and I was like, oh my God, please don't.
Did it drown? You think it drowned or it just died?
I don't know. Like something caused that animal to shoot from the egg. I think it was probably doomed from the get-go there. Like it just, something didn't add up. Damn. But then, needless to say, day 50, the neck's head had pipped, and it was more that traditional what you want to see, just sitting paking out, sitting in that egg for a long period of time, soaking up that yolk. And I hatched out six emerged in the end over 3 days. So one egg had died, the one that popped out early, and there were a few that were dead in the egg. Out of the 6 that hatched, one was very super weak, and it was just perching really loosely. Its mouth was open. I could just tell it was really weak, and that more or less that it probably wasn't going to last long. And sure enough, that afternoon, it had perished. But I'm just going to pop this guy back.
Yeah, you're good. Yes, I don't see like those yellows here in the United States much, for sure. It's crazy.
Yeah, back to MJ's question. So, what percentage of the Kofi owls are yellow like that, or some of them?
Yeah.
Look,
so if we talk about the adults that I bought, it's a story that almost ended before it began. But I bought 5 hatchlings from a private keeper from New South Wales. 2 of them ended up surviving, and the male developed a full green wash from about 18 months of age, and the female, she was bright yellow, not a single green scale. She was close to 4 years old, and I just moved her into an adult enclosure. I don't know if it's coincidence or anything, but as soon as I moved her into that cage, like literally a week later, I could just see a subtle change of color there, and yeah, she slowly from there developed like a green wash, but you could still really see that yellow piercing through. And then if we talk about the group of 5 from 22 I have here, I guess like as a true canary yellow, that one there is the only one that is currently completely solid yellow. The rest at the moment have developed like a slight green wash hazing down the snake, but predominantly a lot of yellow there, and then one has gone the full green wash like the adult male did. There's a bit of a variation there, and one of them is like a beautiful, like a lot of yellow with a bit of green wash coming down, but it's developing this really nice powder blue dorsal.
Nice.
But again, I've only really hatched a small sample size. Like it would be nice to hatch like a really robust clutch, like, you know, 12, 15 of them, you know. But yeah, that's my experience at this stage in terms of staying yellow or changing.
There's a red.
That's a red.
Yeah, that's a Neo I got from a breeder called Darren Ford from Berserker Pythons. He's probably one of the guys, I guess, at the who's probably leading one of the top breeders in terms of like, I guess, designer type animals.
What's his name?
His name's Darren Ford. Berserker Pythons. He doesn't have he's a bit of a quiet guy. He doesn't have a whole huge amount of photos on his Instagram page, but he breeds some phenomenal animals. And a lot of the time when his animals mature, they tend to go blue, like the males as well.
Do you know what the lineage of his animals or his founding?
Yeah, look, exactly what's in these animals is anyone's guess. It's probably not unlike you guys over there, you can, you know, you look back and it's got a bit of this and that, and unfortunately over here, for the most case, it's anyone's guess in terms of what's actually in there.
Oh wow! So they don't track it as good as we track it over here, is what you're saying?
I'll probably say you guys do it a lot better, but there's definitely some keepers that have been around for a while that you know, are able to track theirs you know, pretty well. I get, just for me, like I probably could do better with my you know, looking into trying to dig as deep as I can into lineages and whatnot.
Right. So
Do people?
Good.
I was just gonna say, do people have to be kind of careful, like, because obviously the red Neo in Australia come from Australia, so do they have to be?
Yeah. Yeah. Look. Back in the early days, it was very much like that. You couldn't say what you had, but now more or less, you can say whatever. There is no real cause for, you know, confiscation or anything like that anymore. There's plenty of guys out there with red animals, and you're seeing them produced each year now. So it's a bit more relaxed in that sense.
That's good.
What's the value holding like with the red Neo over there? Like, is a red neonate a lot more expensive than a yellow over there as well?
Yeah. Look, a red neonate over here would be generally $4,000 to $5,000 Australian.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's the exchange rate now? U.S. Australian? I'm not even sure.
Oh shit! I'd have to look that up.
I'll look it up.
Do you even know, even kind of close to what it is? I have no idea.
I'm not. I'm gonna say.
Is the U.S. dollar worth more than an Australian dollar?
Yeah, it is. It is. So it'd probably be. I'm guessing,
so their dollar, our dollar, 66 cents to their dollar.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So it's not too much.
What are the laws like over there as far as like, can you ship within the continent, I guess, or like within the country?
Yep. I can, if I'm moving a snake onto a keeper interstate, all I need to do is apply for an export permit. I just fill out some paperwork online with all the details of you know, I guess how many animals, who it's going to, where they live, their permit number, etc. I submit that form, and it generally about 5 business day turnaround that it's approved, and then from there I can book freight to that keeper. And likewise, okay, if I'm buying an animal from interstate, then I need to fill out a form, an import application. Same thing, the breeder's name, where they live, permit number, etc. Submit that. That gets approved, and then we organise freight from there.
Bill, Marshall, how do you guys feel about that? Like the whole application process? Like if that were somehow to become a mandate thing for us, how do you think that would go? I'm just curious.
I feel like it would go like everything else the government does here. It'd go terrible. But
Give me your money.
but,
We don't give you fuck.
but I mean, it's interesting that he says it only takes 5 days, and like your other permit, you said took a month. Like that to me, that's
Yeah.
reasonable. You know, like
That's
like
fast.
here it would take.
Yeah,
Here it would take God knows how long.
months.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, I know, like just waiting on export paperwork, which I haven't exported anything in quite a while. But when I did, we'd be waiting for, 6 months for export papers, like to get stuff on a shipment to Europe or to.
Yeah. Okay.
Marshall, I've been waiting. I've been waiting now almost a year to get stuff. Get stuff to go to the UK and to get stuff to go to Germany. Almost a year now.
Yeah. Yeah, and what the people over there say is that their stuff doesn't, they have their paperwork done quickly, to the point where I remember once or twice theirs was about to expire before ours was, had made it through all the steps.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'd be a cluster if we tried to do that here. And what's really interesting to me too is that it just shows that Australia really is concerned because everything you can keep there is native, right? Like all the you guys can't legally keep exotic reptiles, correct? Is that accurate?
No, yeah. If you get caught with, I don't know, for example, a chameleon in your collection, and that's found, your collection essentially gets euthanized.
Yeah, they can come and take everything. Right. So it's it'd be the equivalent here, Bill, of like our government doing that for freaking corn snakes or bull snakes or it's pretty, it's kind of crazy, but it's also kind of cool. I don't know.
And think about the number of reptiles that get shipped in the United States. Could you imagine having to permit every single one of those? How many reptiles get shipped a day in the United States?
I know.
Thousands.
Yeah.
It would never work. It could never happen. You need a whole different branch of the government just to permit reptile shipping.
So obviously with your collection size, you don't try to breed everything you have every year, right? Like as far as like, what's the number of clutches you shoot for each year, Dan? Like how do you manage that?
I guess at the moment, like I'm still sort of building the collection up. This year I've had I've got around I think 5 females that are capable for breeding. This year I've gone with 4 pairings and given a 1 female off this year off. But look, as it gets bigger, like I'd be happy to be shooting for 4 to 6 clutches a year would be like awesome.
Right.
But yeah, just see how it all pans out.
And obviously with clutch sizes they can vary, but that could be a lot of babies potentially, right? So in a perfect world, you get all these babies. How's the chondro market? Like how are selling chondros? Obviously we know the process, but like, will they go quick? Like will you have no issue selling chondros?
Nah, it's pretty healthy.
That's awesome.
The hobby for green trees, there's always people looking for them, so there's no real concern in that respect.
That's the universal answer. It doesn't matter who in what part of the world. It's the universal.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask this. I'm going to ask this question on the mayor's behalf. But do you have any tire kickers?
Do you know what? At this stage, I don't move as many animals as say like what Bill probably would each year. So I haven't experienced it yet, but I'm sure it'll pop up at some stage.
I think my real question though is like, where do you go to sell your chondros? Like, do you go to? Is there shows that go down, or is there a morph market like type thing in Australia? Like, how do you? Sell
there is a couple of Australian reptile classifieds pages that some keepers use, but look, I generally get a lot of interest, like messages from people throughout the year. So when it comes to any availability, I generally have it in mind of who was sort of asking seriously about it. So I'll reach out to them and say, hey, look, just reaching out to you earlier this year with your interest. I've got X amount of animals that are, probably ready to go in the next month if you're interested. And a fair few get snapped up in that way predominantly. And then
there's probably less tire kickers because the people that are reaching out to him have already been vetted. Like they have to go through all that work that Dan described earlier about having 2 people sign off and filling out all that paperwork and stuff.
That's a good point, because being a tire kicker in America is fucking completely free. You could be a fucking complete loading tire kicker, but over there, you're right. You would actually be paying to be a tire kicker, which makes no sense. Like, why would you want to do that? That is a good point. That's probably why this application process is probably fucking a good thing if we get it someday. I don't know. Think about less tire kickers, skinnier people out there.
It probably does. You probably don't have to have a permit though, just to like get on the classifieds and look around and make inquiries. So I mean, you're not totally immune to the. There's probably some degree of tire kicking.
I think there's probably more real deal reptile keepers in Australia first and foremost. We got influencers and shit that are fucking getting people in the game, so it's a little different over here. I think, like Bill was saying, maybe there's probably people who are already vetted looking into chondros at that point. And I'm thinking that just might be the vibe in Australia. You know what I mean?
Yeah, look, I think breeders of other species where, like Antaresia over here is probably what you'd call the bull python game over there. There's a lot of Antaresia produced each year, and my dad was producing Antaresia for a while, and he's experienced many tire kickers with selling some of those guys.
All right, so it's just a human thing then. I think once the numbers go up, there's going to be tires kicked for sure.
Yeah,
that's just how it comes.
So, what are the species that you get there? Like, if you go to the pet shop and you're a kid and you want a pet snake, like, what are you picking from?
Right,
you pick from children's pythons or
yeah. Yeah, it's generally you see a lot of children's marbles, jungle carpets, black-headed pythons, generally all that type of stuff.
Imagine getting a blackhead python as your first pet snake. You're 10 years old. Bring home a blackhead. That's badass.
Yeah.
That's a badass snake.
Yeah,
they're like king snakes over there.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, I mean, a lot of your experience breeding came from the stuff you kept before chondros, obviously, right? So you've actually you've had blackhead python clutches and whatnot.
No, look, I definitely was wanting to breed, but at the time when I was, keeping jungles, the Darwin carpets, like they were all very cheap price points, right? And like breeding always interested me, but then I also didn't want to get caught with a bunch of hatchlings that I'd struggle to sell. And as I was saying, I really enjoyed keeping those animals. They were great. But for me, it was always the green tree pythons. Like I'd always be on the internet watching YouTube videos and researching. This is probably prior to Facebook really. Facebook groups and all that type of thing. And in fact, one of the videos from memory was when Brian Barczyk visited your place, Bill.
Nice.
I remember watching that video.
Legendary.
I remember watching that video, and I was just like, shit, that is fucking awesome. It's unreal.
That's the thing people don't know about Bill. Like, I'm talking about more newer people. It's like, dude, this motherfucker, Bill's had people coming to his house checking out stuff for years now. And I got to say, that's definitely one of my favorite videos, Bill, of like
when Brian came to the old place.
Because you could tell that you're kind of like you're like, wow, he's here, and like see your excitement through the camera. Like it was.
I was very starstruck. That was the first time I'd met Brian, and it's a great story about I had so many people when he reached out. He reached out through Forrest. Forrest reached out and said, "Hey, Brian Barczyk, would like to come check out your collection." And at the time, there was some controversy with Brian, right? I mean, I guess always a little controversy, but it was kind of they the peak of his controversy. And so I reached out to some people that I trusted, should I, because I was excited about it, but people were telling me, oh, don't let him come. He's just going to damage your reputation.
That's
and
crazy.
I am so glad that I let him come. And we had the best time. He was such a genuine person and just was so humble. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made to let him come. And we just had a great few hours, and we became and remain friends ever since then. So
because that video is always there, Bill. You know what I mean? Like, think about like how that's like such a historical vlog for the Chondro community, because like that's when Barchek was actually finally putting some light onto the Chondros, and he chose your collection to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it was very humbling, and it was a great day and a great experience. And so, Dan, thanks for those kind words. That means a lot.
Yeah, I don't want to get off topic here, Dan, but I'm curious, how was Steve Irwin looked at in Australia? Like, how did you guys look at Steve Irwin? Because I'm hearing mixed things. I've heard that, like, yeah, he was a hero to a lot of you guys over there, just like over here. But then I also heard a lot of you guys didn't like him. You know what I mean? So what do you guys, what do you have to say about that?
Look, for me, like, all I remember as a kid is like how passionate he was. And I just remember watching his TV shows, and man, I thought he was awesome. So, I've never delved into any negativity in regards to Steve Irwin. Like, for me, like, he was a legend. I used to always enjoy any time he was on TV, or I haven't visited that zoo. I'd love to get over there and check that out. But yeah, I remember as a kid, he was awesome, dude.
How far is that zoo from you?
That's probably a couple hours plane flight.
Oh, plane flight. Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's no roads to there. Like, I mean, can you easily drive there, or is it like?
Oh yeah, you can drive there. It's just going to be a long drive.
Shit, Australia is almost as big as the United States.
But what's a freeway like? The freeways, like, do you guys have freeways over there? I'm sorry, I don't mean to. Like,
yeah. Like in I guess lucky in our state, like, it's not freeways aren't too hectic and congested, but as soon as you get like over to Sydney and places, it's a bit more full on. Yeah.
Don't like 90% of the population live on the coast in Australia?
Yeah, that's probably more than probably right.
Wow.
Yeah. How far are you from water? Like the beach?
He's close, right?
Oh
Like,
shit. Yeah. Like, that's like an hour drive for me to go to a beach. Yeah.
So why don't we talk about like the type of husbandry that you deal with, or that works for you, obviously, with the humidity. I remind me what the humidity is like in Australia, and are you a pro sprayer when it comes to, hydrating your animals? Do you not spray? Let's get to that.
In South Australia, the humidity is a little bit of a battle. Like the standard humidity at the moment is 30%. In my room here, so
it gets cold also, right?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm talking in degrees here, but overnight at 2, 1, 0 degrees, it gets very cold where I am. So with my adult cages, I do use the coconut husk bedding. I find that misting. I just mist the husk on the underneath the heat panel. I just get that, give that a good mist. I mist the background, and I also give the snake a mist as well, and that probably spikes well into the 90s, fogs up the glass, etc. And then the next day it dries out. I don't keep it excessively wet or anything in there. And in terms of the, a neo rack or a hold back rack, it's pretty easy to manage the humidity. I just use paper towel, and I spray the paper towel at the back. I just have heat cord that runs under the back third of the tubs. And humidity in a rack is pretty simple. It's just, when you get into an adult cage, it's a little bit more to deal with.
So how do you supplement the heat in the caging back there? Are those all bulbs that heat up that enclosure, or you just do ambient? Is that
each cage has a heat panel in it?
Oh, okay.
And that's all got a heat panel. I've got there's like a a smart downlight. So each of the cages, I can link those lights up in an app, and it feeds off the info off the weather app. So
Nice.
you know, as the days get shorter, the light cycle takes care of itself.
Oh, nice.
You know,
Nice.
yeah, it's all automated with the lighting, which is really cool.
They're smart lights, and like you just got like the smart lights and each one of the okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm assuming you've seen, you know, a lot of, if you've watched this episode a time or two, you've watched some American keepers. Is there anything different that you have, let's say, equipment wise, that you don't have access to, you know, that we have here, that you have to do something different, or you can pretty much go online and duplicate anything that we do here?
Yeah, look, like in all honesty, like we pretty well, I would say, replicate very similar styles to how you guys keep. You know, I generally keep it is a pretty simple setup. I mean, the background's in there is just more of a visual for me.
Right.
But essentially it's, you know, I guess the one real difference between I guess myself and with your guys' caging is my cages are melamine cages.
Oh, okay. That's a big difference.
Yeah, and I mean the guy who builds them for me, his job is he fits out you know, kitchen cabinetry and laundries. So he uses like a really good quality grade of melamine, and on the cuts they're all double edged. All the joins I've sealed with silicone. And I've been running those adult cages now for well over 2 years, and they're like brand new. Like I don't, you know, I'm not putting a shit ton of water in there or anything. I'm just, I guess, spraying the amount that I need to, you know, maintain the humidity where I need, and it works well. But there are a lot of other states now that are moving to PVC cages. I mean, obviously it will last much longer, and there is options available now for flat packs to be sent interstate. But there's just nothing, I guess, mass produced like you know, what you guys have available to you.
Sure.
But I guess the size of the hobby is here in comparison to you guys in America. Like, there's a huge amount. Like, if someone was over here and it was their business producing those PVC cages, I forget what the brand is behind you there, MJ.
Focus
Yeah. The folk. Yeah.
Let me finish. Focus Cube Habitat, #1 PVC enclosures out of Texas. Sorry,
They look awesome. They look phenomenal. I really like them. But I guess that if someone was to do something like that over here, I don't think there'd be enough keepers buying that product to, I guess, for it to be profitable for them. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, making a product like that respects, you know, it is worth the price that they would be selling them for. And you know, PVC is obviously a little bit more expensive than what my cage build is, but again, yeah, I guess it does last a lot longer as well.
But so you have access to heat panels, radiant heat panels, quality thermostats.
In terms of heat panels, no one in Australia sells them. So
shit, someone robbed his Wi-Fi.
Cut that European plug and wire up an Australian plug. That's our only option in terms of heat panels here.
I'm so sorry, Dan. Can you repeat that? I have no clue what you just said right now. Kind of like
your connection cut out for just a second.
Yeah. Say that.
Okay, you got all good now.
Yeah. Say the last thing you just said right now. Sorry.
Yeah, so the only option for heat panels is importing from another country, and so I managed to find some from a German pet store website. So I've imported them from Germany, and I've essentially just cut that European plug off and wired up an Australian plug. It all lines up, works fine. I've been using those panels now for well over 2 years. They work great.
Wow. I'm surprised we haven't seen I'm surprised we haven't seen Ryan Young in the fucking comments yet since we mentioned panels. But I have to ask you, hold on one second, Marshall, before I forget. What do you keep your panel temperatures at? Like daytime, like during the hottest point of the day, where do you like to set those panels at?
Yeah, those adult panels, that hot spot directly underneath is around 29 to 29.5 degrees.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure it's very comparable in Fahrenheit to what you guys would. And the cool side is probably, I don't know, 27, 26.5 degrees.
Okay.
And
go ahead.
And then all year round, I'll do a nighttime drop down to 26 degrees at night. So just a 3.5 degree drop each night.
Okay. And I'm sorry, what was the nighttime drop? 20?
26.5. So yeah, 3.5 degree drop.
Okay, so about 77 and about 84, 85 daytime, and then 77, 78 nighttime. And then how long do you provide heat for them daytime? Like 12 hours, 8 hours? How long do you like to give them?
Yeah, it's generally 12 hours heat, and then 12 hours of that night drop, and then unless when I'm coming into breeding season, I'll shorten up the heating during the day and have longer period of cooling.
Okay. And then nothing changes as far as when you have a gravid female. Like once the female's gravid, you don't change anything, or do you adjust anything as far as temperatures for that gravid female?
I'll put once she's been through ovulation, once that's all been done and dusted, I will put it back up to the 26 degree night drop, and then the normal daytime. And again, I'll just go 12 and 12 with that female. Okay,
so if anything, you bump the nighttime just a little bit. You make sure it's at that 78. Yeah. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Marshall, you had a question. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, bro. My bad.
No, that's all right. I was just going to ask about the thermostats. Like you have like reptile, reptile designed for reptile cages, or are they?
Yep. So I use they're called Microclimate Evo Light. They're a digital thermostat. Generally, the two brands that are used in Australia is Microclimate or Habitat. So with the good thing with the Microclimate Evos, I can set the daytime temp, nighttime temp, etc., and just set that, and it does its thing for me. With my racks, I'll just use a basic Habitat pulse thermostat, and just set that to the desired temp, and that just maintains it nicely from there.
Nice. Is this only in Australia, or is this like something in America?
I feel like the Microclimate is a European brand.
Oh, cool.
But it's one of the better brands we have here in Australia available.
That's fucking sick. It has,
but there's a new version now that's it's essentially the same digital thermostat, but it's all via Wi-Fi now, so you can input all your settings on your phone. And you can see on your phone on an app in real time how the temp's been going, and set your day and night time through the phone app.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'd like to convert over to the Wi-Fi models, because the only thing I find is when I have a power outage, I've got to go to those thermostats and reset all my inputs, which is a little bit frustrating. So.
Yeah.
With the Wi-Fi, if the power goes out, when it comes back on, it's just going to feed off the info from the application on your phone, and you don't have to worry about the temps not being correct. It'll just go back to what it needs to be.
So what's a device that is in the cage, or like how is it reading this? I'm just confused as far as like how this would actually work. Is it an actual device that plugs into a thermostat, or?
Yeah, like that is the thermostat itself, and essentially you plug it into the power, and you got a plug that goes into your heat.
As a probe.
Yeah, it's got a probe, and that essentially sits. The probe I have, it just sits just above the top perch underneath the panel.
Okay. All right. Now, what's been your results? What's been the results for you mainly with like fully developed chondros dead in the egg? Prolapses, because we talk a lot about horse shit that comes with keeping chondros, but we're just keeping it real. How much of that are you experiencing? Like, have you gone through a lot of prolapses? Have you gone through a lot of like dead in the egg, or any of those kind of crazy stories that you heard? You going through all that stuff as well over there?
In terms of what I've produced so far, I haven't experienced a single prolapse.
Damn.
When I bought those initially the Kofi hours. So you know, we don't have a lot of localities available over here. And
I'll be right back. I can hear you. Keep talking.
Yeah, that's all right. I was at a barbecue with my dad, and you know, as always, like we you know, always talk about snakes. And I said to him, look, if there's any locality I could get with the greens, like I'd love to get Kofi hours. And he's like, oh, like there's this guy here who's hatched some out and he's ready to move. And I'm like, bullshit. and sure enough, legit, this guy, he hatched 6 of them out and he was going to keep one. And I started talking with the guy. He sent me photos and they looked legit. And I was like, yeah, like I'm interested. I'll take them all. But what I will say is, so at this point in time, I've been keeping my subadult Australian localities for, you know, 6 months. Everything was going good. They were eating, shedding, doing everything great. So like I felt really good about how things were going with keeping them. And when I bought these 5 Kofi hours, I did it completely wrong, right? I would never recommend this to anyone to do. But when he was selling those animals, they were only 5 weeks old. They'd only had 1 meal. He was very transparent. These animals are not established. If you're just going to sit there with a pinky in front of it, it's not going to eat it. Like you're going to have to put some work into it. He had a baby on the way, so he needed some money. And I was like, okay, like I felt good about just how everything was. I was like, yeah, I'll take them. And sure enough, I did it. And I met him in Sydney. I flew into Sydney and met him because I'd never paid that much money for animals before. And we did the exchange, saw the animals. I flew them back. When I got them home, they were tiny. Like they weren't even 10 grams. They were so tiny. And they did look like dehydrated. They were like quite wrinkled. I put them in their tubs, set them up in the rack. And that next morning I came in to check on them, and 3 of those hatchlings out of the 5, massive prolapse, huge.
Oh,
I was like, oh, I was like, fuck. And to be honest, like when that happened, like I started to almost feel instantly over my head. I was like, what have I done? I've spent all this money. These animals are tiny. What am I looking at here? So I had to really like go, you know what, if this is what I want to do here and work with these, I'm going to have to learn and deal with this and move through it. And I had a local guy to me who produces the rodents that I buy from. He helped me, show me how to carefully insert those prolapses back in. But the trouble with those 3, right, is it was just a recurring issue. I lost count of how many times they prolapsed, and one by one they perished. So you can imagine there, I've gone in deep with these 5 Kofi hours, 3 are now dead, and I'm left with 2 that haven't prolapsed. And you know, I managed to get them established and get them firing, but I was like, yeah, cool, but it's too I could easily wind up with 2 females, 2 males. Like this is where it all ended. And like I ended up with a male and female. And but when you go through the story, you wouldn't read about it. Like it's crazy to.
I can't stop shaking my head. Like
to go, yeah.
God, I can only imagine that.
It was nuts.
I'm feeling just listening.
Like the weight on my shoulders. And then again, to make it worse is the private keeper I bought those animals from, there was some really bad bushfires a number of years ago, and he lost everything. He lost his animals. So all of a sudden, so I'm now the only one in Australia with these animals, and I'm not sure if I've got a pair. And yeah, I couldn't believe that I raised them up, and yeah, I had the pair. And
they produced.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, there's a
so
lot of different-
it ended up working out in the end and being worth it.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I got those 5 animals. I got the 5 animals back in full. and yeah, and yeah, look, like you know, when you hear about establishing Kofi hours, they are painful.
Yeah.
You know, when that first group that I bought, that they didn't want anything to do with food. They were like They were like really shy, tuck their heads. You couldn't elicit a strike, and they just get to the point where they would run. So with those guys, I had to resort to assist feeding a pinky head, which I quickly moved on to from the pinky heads to like an adult mouse leg, a drumstick, which was much easier. And generally after 4 assist feeds, those initial animals they switched on. Once they'd switched on, there was no going back. It was, yeah.
Nice.
They were good.
How many were you averaging, like as far as how many assist feeds until they switched it on, that you're like on average for you?
Generally 4 or 5. And then with the 5 that I produced, the first 2 had their first shed within that normal time period. And so a couple of days went by, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to thaw out a couple of pinks with those 2 and offer a no shit. Within 30 seconds, both of those animals struck it, wrapped it, swallowed it, and I didn't know what I was looking at. I was like, you're kidding. And I've communicated a little bit with Chuck Vogel over the years, and I told him, I'm like, man, like these guys have just like bang straight off the bat, and he couldn't believe it. But the other 3, they didn't shed till around a month or just over a month after they'd hatched.
Skip that first shed.
Yeah, it took ages. And they were shit to get. They didn't want anything to do with feeding at all. So they were around 4 or 5 assist feeds, and then they switched on from there.
Here's the thing: why are we even assist feeding anymore? We got crested geckos. Or wait, what can you use in Australia? Because I'm telling you right now, I mean, there's no argument at this point. You can't tell me how a baby lizard isn't the best thing for a baby chondro, because I have seen multiple scenarios of them murdering a fucking gecko, and then maybe 2 geckos later, they're murdering a pink. You know, it sounds a lot better than having to butcher a mouse or fucking rip a goddamn pink head off and stick it down its throat, right? Like, I'm just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I have heard of keepers, plucking geckos and freezing them and using them for scenting, and they've had luck with that. I'm not aware of if anyone's trialed captive bred whole geckos or anything like that. But yeah, it's interesting that you're having that luck with yours. Like for a neo to just not want anything, and then to just flick a switch on a gecko like that, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, because I mean, I had the neonate from Mark Hager, which he gave me full awareness of what I was getting. Okay, and I'm talking about the most shyest thing, go from being shy to being aggressive. And then I had my own production that I made that obviously I tempted a pink, wanted nothing to do with it, threw a fucking gecko in there, game over, dude. So it's like, I don't need another.
And now it's off geckos, right?
Now it's on pinks. Yeah, it's had its 3rd pink already. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wicked.
You know what I mean? So that's why I'm just like, and I know it's more just not the more standard, but why not? I mean, I know Bill has something going on with Alex, and I guarantee once his gecko stock gets up, you're gonna experience the same thing, Bill. You're gonna see how straight fucking forward this shit is. And the hard thing is you need the food, right? But that's, I guess, that's the time where you're obviously building that now, Bill. And I'm telling you right now, bro, I don't have the eggs yet that are hatched, but once they do, I'm not going to be losing sleep about fucking getting these things to eat. I'm telling you right now, I have zero concern. No,
I wouldn't hesitate to do it for sure. I mean, I wouldn't hesitate to do it. Absolutely.
Because if we think about it, right, like these geckos are fully formed, like skeleton wise, and they have at least so much more nutrition than a pink does, right? So even when it comes to assist feeding, a gecko would probably be the best thing you could assist feed a chondro over a pink, a tail, maybe even over a piece of liver, or which I don't know the nutritional facts on that, but I mean, what do you have to say to that, Bill? As far as all the options you have to assist feed, what has more nutrition than a full skeleton gecko that's alive and moving? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I'm just I've hatched a total of 2 baby geckos over here now, so I don't have a lot of experience. But I can say trying to assist feed one might be a little difficult because they're pretty limp. I mean,
what do you mean? What are limp? The gecko?
Yeah, the gecko.
No, I know the trick. You got to do it when it's still kind of cold. So you're like don't let them fully fall out. I'm dead serious. You leave them when they're kind of still a little stiff, and it doesn't go anywhere. I'm telling you, and it's not bad for them. It's just kind of eating like a fucking TV dinner that's still cold.
I mean,
hey, Marshall, that was funny, bro. Why aren't you fucking laughing? This fucking stiff right here, dude. Unbelievable.
I think that chaos that I went through, establishing those first couple of 5-week old Covials, I think absolutely what I went through and my learnings with that absolutely went towards the success of the group of 5 that I hatched to getting them to where they are today. Like, definitely.
What were you gonna say, Marshall?
For sure.
I'm just gonna say it's a little dangerous to feed something that's not completely thawed. Like they're.
I mean, I'm not talking about frozen, right? I'm talking about like it's probably still a little bit cold. But here's one thing, obviously this isn't the same species, but when I don't know if you remember, anyone saw this vlog, but a while ago, Kevin McCurley put out a vlog of one of his retics got out while there was all these pigs on the floor and they were frozen. Okay. And I guess one of the retics got out and ate all the fucking frozen pigs. Okay? Dude, it was completely fine. And I was like, okay, like I really looked at that scenario before I even considered like, okay, this thing's still a little stiff. Should I put it in? And I remember that Kevin McCurley video and no issues over here, pal.
You guys have to remember, we're talking about the digestive tract of a reptile, not a human, right? They evolved to eat some nasty shit. They don't cook their stuff. It can be rancid, it can be probably half frozen. It just, it's different than our guts. So that wouldn't bother me at all to do something that wasn't completely.
And God bless Patrick's trying to wave his mouse fucking leg, flag that it's the best. But really, like, I mean, I would say on a lighter note, if you're talking about something to get it moving, what's going to be better than its natural prey item? That's what I'm trying to get at. You know what I mean? And why is it that this thing decides to eat out of nowhere after you've been trying to feed it for months, and then all of a sudden you toss something in there and it becomes what it should be, a fucking reptile. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying.
I don't think there's any doubt that geckos are the right food source. It's just the access to them. Like
it's access. For most people, it's an access issue for sure.
That's the biggest thing. But you got to take action. You got to do something about it. Yeah. I know I am. That's for sure. So,
there's no reason, not to now in this day and age where you can buy breeder geckos on Craigslist for $300. A breeding trio for $300. There's no reason. If you're really serious about it and you're producing clutches consistently, there's no reason not to. And no matter how big of a veteran you are, we all know that chopping up this fucking mouse or whatever is annoying. Like we know, and Marshall hates it. He don't want to be no butcher. He even says it. But I got to tell you, like it's just a one step you don't have to worry about. Again, you got to get your gecko game up when it comes to having this stuff available. But once you do, like, that's one thing for sure. Kenny's on point about, the apprentice, Vin Russo. Like, dude, I'm telling you right now that you get those geckos in your freezer or available, you're not going to have one picky chondro eater. I promise you. And luckily, there's nothing easier to produce than a gecko. Nothing's easier. And because at first I was concerned. I'm like, I don't have an incubator that's that cool of temps. And I've been told, like, dude, keep it on the floor, keep it on the coolest part of your room, and they're going to hatch. And I tell you what, I put a fucking egg away. I forget they're there. I look, and there's a couple fucking geckos that came out. And I'm like, holy shit. And then it just starts flowing after that. Like, I'm telling you right now, bro, my game's up right now. And you're going to get there too, obviously, if you give it more time, Bill. But, listen, I'm just saying less is more when it comes to stressing out. And I do know for sure, say what you want, right? And I know there's evidence of assist feeding it a pinky head or a mouse leg a couple times, and then it starts eating. But at the end of the day, does that snake appreciate getting its fucking head grabbed and its mouth open and shove that motherfucker down? Or
it's way less stressful. You can avoid that. Yeah, right. There's always a chance you can do damage to its, why would you want to touch it? Yeah, why would you want to touch that thing? Like let it do its thing, and that's all it comes down to. But
I'm curious, Dan. I mean, you are more likely dealing with really good eaters versus stubborn eaters, or is it all coin flip for you?
Yeah, look, I would say like with the assist feeding, like primarily like if I can get a strike, I'll get them to strike that mouse leg, so that way it generally gets stuck in the back of their throat. They swallow it, right? So look, like aside from the Kofi Owls, my other pairing that was successful in 22, which was my Snowflake Ivy clutch. You know what, 80-90% of those hatchlings, they just ate right off the bat, no worries, like within 30 seconds each one.
Was that a locality was that a locality pairing or mixed locality?
Look,
pairing?
So I acquired those animals from Simon Stone. So Simon Stone, he was one of the bigger reptile breeders a number of years ago. In fact, he was, the keeper that bred the first lot of Darwin albinos. And he was getting out of the reptiles, and he had a few holdback green trees left that he was looking to move. And I was speaking with a guy because I'd really love to add some nice sarong type animals. And I was speaking with this guy over Facebook. He's like, look, Simon's getting out of reptiles altogether. He's got some sarong holdbacks. I was like, okay. So I rang Simon and I organised a time to go look at these animals. And I went in there and I could tell they weren't sarong, but they were wicked. Like he didn't have the background of those animals. Like when you look at them, they've got a very, I guess, Aru type look to them. The blue, the blotchy white, and this male in particular, like heavy white all the way along. I took those animals in, and I've done that pairing twice now in 22 and 23, and those hatchlings, all amazing feeders. So I'm hoping with the female being paired to this red male, I'm hoping that feeding transfers across with those guys if everything goes well. That is.
Is this
So
one?
this will be her third. This will be her third clutch then.
Yeah.
Okay, great, fantastic.
Yeah, that one there. Sorry, you go, Marshall.
I was just going to ask, how has the white transferred from parent to baby?
Yeah.
Do you know what? Like, I was hoping to see some really nice heavy white. Like the female has got some nice white to her, but the male in particular is quite heavy. And look, I've got a few that have got some nice white on them, but it's not as heavy as what the male is, the sire to the clutch. Yeah, they're nice, and some of the youngsters have got some really nice, bold, white, vibrant scales. So yeah, to be honest, I was hoping to see a little more white pop up, but they're gearing up towards 2 years of age now, and they are still gaining some white scales as they go along still. So
is there anybody there that can produce or has been producing the native Australian locality with the full pinstripe for in captive bred babies?
Yeah, there's a Victorian keeper called Russell Grant. He doesn't really have Instagram. He's got a Facebook page, but he no doubt breeds the best Australian green tree pythons in the country. Like he regularly gets that full stripe. And like the female I have, she's got essentially full unbroken stripe. He seems to be doing it consistently. I do see it pop up every now and then with some other breeders, but he would definitely be leading the way with that in that aspect. And he's not. It's not a science lab experiment that he's doing either. But yeah, he.
Don't get it started.
Is this one of the Australian ones?
Yeah, that's the female. Yeah. So when I first got her, like the scales were like they were so vibrant white, they would pop, but they've slowly changed to a yellow tone, but still beautiful.
That's awesome.
And she's laid one clutch for you, or how many clutches?
She's laid one clutch for me in 22. It was 7 eggs, and after she had finished laying those eggs. It was 7 eggs and a few slugs. After she'd finished laying, I came in I found her on top of the nest box, and she'd left the eggs. So a friend said, look, don't be surprised if those eggs crash. Like, she probably knows that there's something wrong, there's something not right with those eggs. And sure enough, yeah, those eggs essentially crashed. One of them made it to, I think, day 40, and then it perished, and it was essentially like rubbery inside and underdeveloped.
Have there ever been Australian locality green trees in the U.S.? Marshall, do you know?
I think the closest we've had is, Maruki, which, I mean, I think they're the same. I think they're the same thing technically. Ryan Young will check me on that, I'm sure. But
Patrick, what do you know about this, Patrick?
You think Marukis are the same thing as Australian?
Species-wise, right? They're Morelia viridis.
Yeah, they're species-wise, but locality-wise, I think they're different. But species-wise, they're the same. Just like a roo.
So, I mean,
yeah.
do you focus on any pure Australian pairings at all, Dan?
Yeah. I've only got the one pair of pure Aussies. Like, I probably need to get some more, to be honest, because I'd love to produce some Aussies. I really like them. And I get made fun of a little bit because everyone tells me that the Aussies are the easiest to produce, and yet I haven't had any luck yet. So I'm certainly trying, and I've been pairing them up this year, but she just doesn't look to be progressing at this stage.
Now, are you seasonal? Like, I mean, do you have times of the year where there's nothing paired, or do you pair things as you see it? And like, if there's something that could go, or are you pairing it up?
I generally pair during the winter here, so probably toward like the latter part of May, June, July, August. This year we had some cooler weather a little earlier, and the males were just cruising non-stop. So I started tapering temps this year back at the end of March, and I started pairing some around mid-April, which is when Ivy had that lock up with the red male this year, around mid-April. And that one took, and that was the only luck I saw. Like, I tried 2 red males with her this year because I love red and yellow neos, by the way. I like them both. And also locality and designer. I'm about all of them.
You're covering all the bases. Okay, you did, Dan.
Yeah. So I tried one of these red males. He didn't want to go near her. He just cruised the cage and perched at the opposite end of the cage. So I tried this other red male, which the thing I like about this other red male is the grandsire is this wicked pure Biac that my dad used to keep. So I like that. That's got a bit of a connection there. And this red male, he would cruise the cage all night, but he would perch up next to her each morning. And he didn't look stressed. She didn't look stressed. So I just left them. But I wasn't really seeing any activity. To be honest, I thought he's probably going to need another year. And then sure enough, I was walking past the cages, and then I walked past, looked, went to keep going, and I looked back, and sure enough, they're locked. And I'm like, shit. I'm like, beautiful. And it was a really good, long, sustained lock. It went all day, all the way through to when the lights went out. And that's the only lock I saw. But now I've seen Ivy go through all the cues, 2 years now. I could easily see as I was, so that copulation was mid-April. During May, I could see that follicle swelling, and like that coil was just sort of sitting really high off the perch. I could just see that she was progressing. And I was pretty confident it was happening and looking for I sort of thought probably a June ovulation. And I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but I found that when my females are really late gearing towards going through that ovulation, my males will go into a shed cycle. So
yeah,
that red male,
I have.
Yeah.
Yep.
That red male went into a shed cycle, and I looked at that and I said, you know what? I bet you this week, in the coming week, she's going to ovulate. And sure enough, she ovulated. And it all went down.
Have you guys noticed that, Marshall or Bill?
I haven't, but somebody else, I think.
Mark Hager was the first person to describe that that I can remember consistently. He noticed it happening on multiple occasions, and he brought it to my attention, and I said I had not noticed that. But since then,
Right.
I've heard other people, definitely say yes. It's they've noticed that pattern.
They said that with the
Yeah, that's
emerald.
what I should have said, is that I hadn't noticed it. Not that it's not that I haven't experienced it. 'Cause
Yeah.
it very well could be happening, and I've just never noticed it.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, listen, we're gonna get to some wrap up topics. I'll go first, and we didn't really talk much about like your choice of prey item. I know we talked a little bit about the geckos, but once they get to adult stage, and we have prime females, prime males, what is your choice of prey item at that point? What do you feel comfortable feeding a gravid female, or not gravid, but getting her ready to breed type of thing?
Yeah.
And your males, let's get to that.
Yeah, I mix it up with mice and rats. Yeah, I'm not either one or the other. Primarily, my males are generally around that 450 gram, slightly above mark. So like, I'll feed the males, once every 3 weeks, either a couple of adult mice, or I'll mix it up with a weaner or even a small rat. And with the females, I'll generally feed them, around every 14 days or so. And yeah, I'll either give them a couple adult mice or a really good small rat. Coming into the breeding season, look, to be honest, like they've got really good condition coming into the breeding season. But look, I might, in the lead up, do a couple weeks in a row, a couple adult mice each, or once 14 days, I'll do 3 adult mice. And I tend to just mix it up, really. I wouldn't really say I have a regimen leading into breeding season. I'm going to feed X amount more. They're just kind of coming in with that really good condition, and I might add a little more here and there leading in. But I'm probably similar to Bill. When I start pairing, I stop feeding altogether.
Right. And I'm curious, it's easy to get either mice or rats for you. Like there's not like a drought with one of the other.
They've moved now, but they generally they were 10 minutes away, and they have a large amount of stock. I've never had issues getting what I need, and they even supply like the Adelaide Zoo with mice and rats, and they got a pretty decent size operation who I use, so it's good.
And Bill, your stuff's shut down right now as far as feeding goes, or not yet?
No, I'm still feeding. Yeah, for sure.
I know, Marshall, you got your stuff fasting right now, right?
Yeah, the last time I fed them was about a month ago, a little over a month ago. So I don't know. I may slip them a meal here the next couple days, and then
Cut them off.
Let them go. Yeah, like another 2 months without, and then start feeding them heavy again, and then pair them up.
Yeah, I'm doing
that was my plan, at least before I realized everybody pairs them while they're still fasting. So I don't know what I'll do. But they're going to be fasted throughout the summer, and then I'll game time decision.
Well, Marshall, that's not everybody, man. We've talked about this before. You ask 10 different people how they're cycling, food cycling. You
get that's true.
Different answers. So people do it just like you're doing it. I know Steven Saltzman does it, like you're doing it, and other people do exactly what you're doing or a variation of it. So I think the whole key to it is just something different.
Change, yeah, some kind of change.
Just let them experience change.
Right on. All right. Well, who wants to go next with their wrap-up question?
I'll go because I have a 2-part question.
Sure.
The first part of the question is we didn't really talk too much about your incubation. I'm assuming you artificially incubate, that you haven't done maternal incubation. So can you tell us just a little bit about your incubation temperatures, your egg box and such. And then the second part of my question is, are you going to be able to come to my party in September?
Okay, all right, I'll start off with incubation. So it's essentially it's a wine fridge that my dad was using, and as his collection he was producing more and more, he got a bigger incubator. So I claimed that from him, and it can comfortably fit probably 6 clutches in this incubator.
Okay.
And it's essentially just got a heap of heat cord through that wine fridge. I've got like a low wattage computer fan at the top just to sort of circulate some air.
Single fan. One fan.
Yep. Single fan.
Okay.
And again, I use the digital microclimate Evo thermostats. I incubate at 31 degrees from beginning to end, so I don't do any like temp changes. I just do a straight bake. In terms of like my egg box, it's just like a cupcake 2-tier cupcake container from the supermarket. It's a press closed lid, and I just essentially use the top of this as the grate.
Water.
Yeah, I incubate them suspended over water. It's got, you probably can't really see, but it's got 3 holes in the tub.
Yep.
At the beginning of incubation, I've got them taped up.
That's very similar, Dan. Sounds
yeah. I do. Even like as soon as that clutch has gone in, the next day I straight away do a small amount of air exchange. I take the lid off, wipe the lid back on, and then I rotate the egg box around, because you tend to get that condensation building up towards the front of the tub. So I quick wipe at the lid, back down, rotate it around, back in, and generally with that method I found, that day 50, day 51, I'm seeing the hatchies pip from there.
Okay.
And I like to just put I don't separate my eggs. I generally I like to just put the whole clump on top of that grate in there.
Right.
Once I see a few heads pip, I'll take that grate out. I'll tip the water out. I'll just put some really like moist, super like wet paper towel, almost like a slither of water over the paper towel, and I'll flip that grate upside down. And once they've started pipping, I find the eggs separate quite easily. So I'll just separate them from there and just sit them on top of that grate upside down and just let them hatch out from there.
Okay. All right. Very good.
And in terms of your party, you know what, I've been speaking with a friend in the past after I saw last year with Sal visiting. I was like, dude, how cool would it be if we flew over to Bill's, go to the Reptile event? Like, how rad would that be? You know, I would love to do that. It'd be so cool to meet you all, look at your amazing animals. That would be amazing.
Well, I know it's a big trip, but it's obviously an open invitation, and so I hope you and your mate can make it over.
I appreciate that. I'll look into it for sure.
Okay.
All right, Marshall, what you got?
Where do you see the Australian chondro market headed? Is there price trends? Are they increasing in value, decreasing in value? Is there more and more people working with them every year? Just maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I guess there are species that not everyone seems to be able to nail right, and production, I guess the amount that people would like versus what's produced each year, it doesn't match up, right? In terms of the market for them, in terms of the price that they demand at the moment, they're very steady. And look, there's some really nice collections being built around the place at the moment that are, in the coming years are going to come into maturity. And there is a really big focus on red mixed designer animals. So I'm really excited for the years to come, and to see, because there's some really cool collections being built. I personally think the price will maintain. And in terms of like the red, the really, I guess the really nice designers that we do have, I think you might see them slightly come up in value.
Damn.
So every year there's more and more people that are entering the hobby.
Yep. And there's definitely like I always see a few new faces getting into it each year as well. And I've moved some animals onto some first time keepers. And yeah, it seems pretty healthy. There's a number of people wanting to get into it, and yeah, and each year I see a first time breeder as well. Like, so it's healthy, and I'm pretty excited to see what's to come in terms of here in Australia.
Yeah, man, it's just exciting just to hear more in depth as far as how you guys process everything in Australia. Just anywhere from as far as finding someone to buy a chondro to like, how you breed over there, period. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Marshall. What were you going to say?
No, I'm just going to say that.
It's just tough. It's just tough for you guys because of the import exportation laws. It's really put you guys really behind behind the curb, and all this stuff's going to have to be organic. There's no mosaic from Portugal or bringing in blue line stuff from the States or it's tough. You guys, it's just harder for you guys. That's all there is to it.
That's it.
You never know, I guess, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like, look what it's been like for years already. I don't know if that's ever going to change, but you never know, I guess, right? But I do know one thing. This was an epic podcast, my man. This was awesome. This was a good time. I do have hot seat questions for you because this is your first time here at the Trap, so you got to
let's do it.
You got to leave it passion. So
we need to get some more. We need to get some more Aussie guys and girls on for sure. It's been a great episode.
Yeah,
I can definitely send you some recommendations because there's a whole bunch of guys that I look up to, and
send me the list, not Bill, because what he's gonna do is he's gonna fucking announce to everyone who's on the list. It's just gonna get out of control. You know what I mean? You gotta keep send me the list. I got it.
I've got a bad reputation that's not justified many times. But.
Hey Bill, we're still live. I'm just kidding. All right, awesome. Hot seat questions, and then Marshall or Bill will end with their hot seat. Guys, get the likes up, please. Awesome episode. Quicker the better. This is how these work. Okay, Dan, you ready?
Ready.
All right. Hot seat questions coming in hot. Let's go. Favorite green tree python locality?
Bayak.
A cut or no cut?
Cut.
On what day?
The following day after a few have pipped.
One designer in the United States you would love to have in your collection?
Patrick Holmes, Hellboy.
Damn.
Nice choice.
That you really do like BX. All right. And I don't need none of this fucking I like both shit. All right. Let's keep it 100. Red Chondro Neo or yellow Chondro Neo?
I'd have to go yellow because I love the coat.
I appreciate that. You have to stay loyal to what basically all you have.
Yeah.
But dude, let me pause this. You do have some of the nicest yellows, as I told Bill and Marshall before the show started. Like if it's yellow's your thing, the way you give those examples, bro, or telling you do it right. So I just want to give you your flowers on that.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
All right. Pre-first shed meal or post-first shed meal?
Post.
To spray a chondro or to never spray a chondro?
Spray.
Yay imports or boo imports?
Kind of a loaded question from my man here.
But if it came down to it, if he had
I'd get around. Yeah, look, to be honest, I'd go for the imports if I had the choice to have a crack.
All right. Other than a chondro, let's put that on the shelf. But if there could be one reptile you could import to your collection today, the most dreamiest reptile out there, what would it be?
Probably basins.
Nice, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, they can't get basins.
Oh yeah, you guys are fucked on the basins for sure.
Yeah.
Ryan calls them short buses, but either way, They're amazing to have, man. Man, that's unfortunate. Okay, how about this? Steak or fish when it comes to eating? Steak or fish?
Steak, 100%.
Yay alcohol or boo alcohol?
Yay.
Favorite alcohol beverage?
Beer.
All right, Bill has plenty of that at his party for sure. So,
Oh, yeah.
all right. Favorite genre of music?
Metal.
Favorite metal band of all time?
Corn.
Nice, dude.
Corn. Ooh.
Respect. All right. Favorite Corn album of all time?
I'll follow later.
Yeah, I almost wanted to. How old are you, Dan? I'm gonna pause this again. How old are you?
39. So that was just my time. Yeah.
Perfect era. Yeah, perfect era. Fucking this Marshall was bumping fish in his college dorm. Getting fucked up. All right. Little word association. Say the first thing to come to mind. You ready? Milk.
Yeah. I don't even know how to respond to that.
All right, I'll take
probably something inappropriate.
First time chondro breeder.
Like exciting.
Facebook groups.
Not a massive fan.
Yellow designer.
Some rad yellow designers out there. Yep.
Stuck shed.
Soak.
All right, whoever wants to. Bill, do you want to go after me? Because I'm about to say my last one. Who wants to go? You're gonna go?
Well, I would just say back to designer, high yellow, high blue, or high black.
I'm all high yellow for me. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Marshall.
Favorite North American snake?
Nice.
I don't know.
I would have to be venomous. That's the only cool stuff we have.
No. Sure.
Oh, I guess. I'm sorry. Indigos. Indigos are really cool. I don't want to give it away. Sorry, my bad.
You got rattlesnakes up that way?
Yeah, for sure. We got hella rattlesnakes.
Yeah,
I thought you would have said rattlesnake.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of, and I see quite often like people checking out rattlesnakes in the wild. It's awesome.
All right, last but not least, word association. First thing to come to mind: coolest reptile network in the world.
Trap top all day.
From Australia. You heard it from Australia. Let's go. Hey, no, Dan, this was an awesome podcast. Appreciate it. I got to tell you, this was an honor. Can't wait to have you back on and other Australian keepers for sure because, dude, I've been following Australian keepers for a few years now. And you guys got it going on. So we definitely need more Australian keepers. But for now, for people to be on top of everything that you have going on, is Instagram the most active place to people to follow you at, Dan?
Yeah. Just firstly, I'd like to say thank you for having me on. It's been awesome to meet you three guys.
Yeah.
But in terms of you for following me, Instagram, Chondro Bos is what I'm most active on. I do have a Facebook page, Chondro Bos, but not as active as what I am on the Instagram page.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll put that link to your Instagram. And guys, I highly recommend following this guy if you're not, please. And can't wait to have you back, man. But guys, give it up. It's a wrap for Dan out of Australia. Chondro Bos, ladies and gentlemen, give it up.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, guys.
That was awesome, Dan. Thanks for coming on.
Enjoy the rest of
thank
your day,
you,
bro.
guys.
You killed this shit. This was an awesome episode. And we'll be chatting too. We talk almost every day. So we'll chat soon, buddy. Take care.
Awesome, guys. See you later.
Cheers, buddy.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome guy, man. Australians are so cool, bro. I love Canadians, but Australians are like, I feel like just as nice, if not nicer. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think, though? Let's go, Marshall. What's your overall?
It's cool to hear their perspective on things, you know, and like all that crazy stuff about the permits, and you got to like apply before you ship shit, and the person's got to have a permit, and they got to be vetted, and people like actually look at your application, and got to have 2 letters of recommendation. I mean, like that's insane.
And here, you know, you can go to the local hot show and buy a fucking cobra.
I mean, there are some states where, like, I'm pretty sure. Well, in Alabama, you can keep even venomous snakes, native venomous snakes, with 0 permits. Like anybody can have, you know, not eastern diamondbacks, but timber rattlesnakes, water moccasin, copperhead, you know, whatever. No permit, no nothing. Now there are some places like I think Florida issues permits for venomous snakes, but you've got to go through similar process. I think you've got to apprentice under somebody, and you know,
in Texas, all you have to do is go down to the sporting goods store and pay $10 for a large constrictor / venomous keeper's license.
Yep.
It's just like filling out a hunting license.
And then you go down to Whataburger, pay $3.50 for a large Dr. Pepper milkshake.
And then you spill it in my car.
Oh, ouch.
Oh, I did not spill the milkshake. Whoa, to relax, Bill. Why do you have to take there? What I spelt was very cleanable, wasn't it? What did I spell milkshake? Really?
I know it was at least French fries.
It was French fries.
Were they cardboardy? Cardboardy French fries?
They weren't Thrifty Scotsmen for sure. I'll tell you that much. There wasn't a super ham combo. But yeah, listen, great episode for sure. We're definitely going to bring more Australian keepers on because their perspective is, it means everything to what we have going on. It's interesting. And yeah, I just feel for them. It sucks that we can't do any exchanging and or just they can't even keep a base in. I kind of feel for them on that level, because we have our hands on almost anything that we want, basically. But anyways, yeah. Shout out to all Australian reptile keepers. And if you're listening and you're in Australia and you want to come on Trap Talk, send me a message. Not Bill. You can say what up to Bill, but send me a message about coming on the show because I want more Australian keepers. Definitely. But guys, thank you so much. I had a good time as always. Please go give my man Marshall Mendez a follow. Very important. Red Mountain Herps on IG. And of course, the mayor, Phoenix Reptiles. Cannot wait to see you guys in a few weeks. Daytona's right around the corner. Holy shit.
It is. It's like looking at the calendar. It's like three weeks away or something.
Yeah, 3 weeks. Can't wait.
I can't wait to go to dinner. It's going to be a fun time.
It's going to be a good dinner. Going to have the Four Musketeers back together.
Yep. And
Right.
Alum.
And Alum.
Yep. And Alum. Appreciate you guys. Give it up. Marshall Mendez and Bill Stingel. It's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Bye, guys. Have a good night.
See you guys.
See you in a week.
See you in a week. Peace. Appreciate you guys. Thank you out there. Everyone who enjoyed tonight's episode, if it's your first time hanging out, especially if you're down under, do your boy a favor, hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get these organic subscribers up. We got to increase the subscribers. Coolest reptile network in the world. Definitely deserves more subscribers. But help me get it out there, man. Share the network. Let everybody know what's happening here 7 days a week. All right? Nothing but amazing reptile content from the best reptile keepers in the game, and that's a fact. But hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Don't forget tomorrow, Cush's Corner. Cush's Corner every Wednesday here on the Trap Talk Reptile Network. It's going to be going down. And again, shout to all the Australian keepers out there. Shout to my man, Chondro Boz. Know me, Dan Boswell. Great episode. I'll catch you guys here Thursday night for Trap Talk with MJ. Make sure you come by for Cush's Corner tomorrow. And I'll see you guys then. Cheers.